Nerd news now.
Whoa, I'll be joining a chair today. Ah, she's back.
Alright, ASM. I have 15 people on.
Yeah, okay. Not that way.
Oh.
So, Miss Jen, we're live.
Well, we are?
Yes, we are.
Sorry, man. Hi, everybody, and welcome to Nerd News Now, New York Comic Con edition, in which one of us is sleep deprived and has part of a voice.
And then there's Miss Jen.
Mhm. Kyle will be joining us after he gets done with his fancy dancy dinner with famous people.
Yeah, and refuses to let us talk to the famous people. Thanks, Kyle. We want those secrets too, Kyle.
Okay,
yeah.
so let's talk about what's going on for kind of like big news. I think that the things I heard the most about while I was at the con was the announcement that Saga is coming back in June.
I believe that was the biggest news out of New York. I mean, they trumped everything else. They could have handed out bars of gold to everybody, and that news would have been like, yeah, forget the gold. We'll take that news.
It's funny because we've been waiting for how long? How long has the hiatus been? At least 2 years?
Yeah, it's coming by 2 years. To be honest, it actually fell out of my radar. You know, I completely forgot about Saga, and I'm sure most people did as well. So it was just, oh my god, that's what the news took. You know, it hit like a bullet train. Everybody had just forgotten about it
because it was 3 years. It was now a year before pandemic started.
Was it really?
Yeah, it was 2018.
Mm-hmm. It's going to be interesting order, but we have plenty of time between this announcement and when it releases to kind of like round up the people that would be normally on this book, right? The people that were on their polls. We have to make sure they're still, interested. And then see how many people will get to start reading this thing because it's so stinking good.
Boy, do you know anybody who would not still be interested that was reading it previously?
I mean, I'm just kind of thinking about like maybe people have kind of moved away from comics. Maybe they're in the military and can't get them. You know, like just I'm mostly about people that just aren't in town anymore. But yeah, I can't imagine anyone being into Saga and then all of a sudden not being into Saga. That doesn't make any sense.
You know, that is still one of my biggest regrets. Selling my copy of Saga, thinking, "Hey, I'll get another copy of it. No worries." Never got that book replaced.
As far as I know, I think one of our mutual friends still has a sealed case of number ones.
Wouldn't surprise me. Initials DB?
I believe so.
Wouldn't surprise me at all.
I know that it's changed, so I just assume it's still there. Very
yeah.
smart. So, it was a really interesting convention this year because normally I believe the amount of people that are there is like 250,000. They're ticket holders, and this year it was 160, which for me actually was nice. I liked the less crowded nature of it, but I'm sure it was harder on the people that were trying to make money there.
How is the spacing? Well, 160,000 is nothing to cough at. That's still a lot of people. But how is the spacing? Did they space the booths close to each other like they normally do, or so it was just like a normal con?
So the aisles were wider, and I think they could do that because there was no. I don't believe them. I know that Marvel and DC weren't there, and I think there were some other people that passed on having big booths. So those spaces were taken over by, and I think that there was another big company that kind of like moved their stuff around. Maybe it was Viz, but the people that kind of like stepped up this year were Aftershock had a huge booth. Source Point Press had a huge booth. Scout had a big booth. There were some people that got to shine because they didn't have, people in the way. Interesting thing to see, to have like these companies are brand names that we recognize, but it might have not have been everybody else's first choice. Now they got them a chance to get in people's face.
Yeah, because they're small publishers, and small publishers get they get swallowed up into big cons. It's always Marvel, DC, Mattel, and all those guys have big booths, and they kind of overshine all the small publishers. So that's good to hear. That's good to hear that these guys got that much exposure, and they deserve it. They're putting out some really great books. And for those of you who caught Miss Jen's show prior to this, you would have seen all the goodies they had there too.
Yeah, there was a lot of there were people pretty excited about the stuff that was going on for offerings as far as exclusives were involved this year.
Nice. So what else do we have outside of Saga? Anything else?
I know that they showed, as I think it's a surprise for the panel on Ghostbusters Afterlife. They actually showed the movie at the con.
The entire movie.
Mm-hmm.
I saw Mark light up. He was like, oh, and I missed it.
It was weird. I think this is the first con I've been to, and I can't remember how long, that other than when people told me about what happened at a panel, I didn't know what panels there were this year. I don't know if you asked me who the famous people were that were not comic book related, if I could tell you honestly.
And were there celebrities there? Was this like a true con? Was it? Well, I guess there are regular cons, I suppose.
I mean, they have to have been famous people there, but to me, the cool part was hanging around down in Artist Alley. It felt much bigger this year. I don't know if that's true, but like Cates and Stegman and Scott Snyder, and there were some pretty gigantic names down there.
I thought Mark was going to say something. My apologies. So I paused.
How you doing, Mark?
I'm doing okay. So you survived New York, all right?
Well, I mean, I don't have all my voice.
Yeah.
That's the one thing about it, is that normally when you're at a convention, especially when you're doing interviews, you bring a mic with you, right? You just hand it back and forth. No big deal. When you're at a convention in which everybody's masked, you have a central mic and you have to yell at each other. You can't see each other's lips. And you just like, you really lose your voice much faster. Like even in your like normal everyday conversation with people, just like, hey, how you doing? You have to yell at them because there's a lot of background noise at a con, right?
Yeah.
I guess this con was the one where I yelled at people.
I mean, yeah, any kind of event with background noises, you always feel like you have to overcompensate, and then you're like, what happened with my voice? Especially concerts. It was just, yeah.
I know this is the second week of release, but did you guys go see Venom?
No, I have not.
And to top it off, Black Widow just came on Disney Plus, and I still haven't had the opportunity to watch that.
Gotta get you to sit down and watch the movies.
Yeah, this weekend was a little weird. In fact, yesterday I felt a little under the weather, so I just kicked back for a little while. My wife's actually she's got the cold, so it's funny. Like in most households, when the father gets sick, everything, all the wheels still turn as close to normal as possible.
Yep.
When the mother gets sick, man, everything derails.
So true.
Right. But yeah, beyond that, I'll probably try to watch it tonight or tomorrow. Hopefully, get caught up on my Marvel stuff. I did get caught up on What If.
Oh yeah,
Oh man, the last episode I liked.
I heard that it kind of ties stuff together.
To a certain extent, yes. It fills out some gaps. One thing I did like about it was the Ultron story they used. It's more true to Age of Ultron than what they tried to do in the Marvel Universe originally. So,
Oh, do we get Jocasta?
you'll find out.
Oh, I have to watch it because that tells me maybe.
How about yourself, Mark?
What as far as oh no, not caught up on anything. But with
Really?
what if? So what if they just aired the ninth episode, and that's going to be 18 planned? So they're taking a break. I guess this is like a season 1A and 1B type thing.
Basically, yes.
Um, yeah, and I've been very impressed with that. Like that, it's definitely exceeded my expectations when we originally heard about it. It seemed like that they were going all in with it because they have the cast from the movies for the most part, right? But everyone was mostly signed on. I mean, I think I remember saying like 40 voice actors' names. And the one thing we were wondering is, are they going to do what if comic stories or just MCU stuff? And it looks like they're sticking with MCU stuff, but kind of taking moments that happen and branching out into what would happen if they used more comic faithful, interpretations. So while we haven't really got the comic book stuff yet, we have got zombies and things like that. So we'll see. We'll see. Exactly how much more of that happens, though.
So I'm assuming neither one of you watched the last episode.
No, no, I'm behind. I'm behind on everything. Like I finally got to start watching Doom Patrol season 3 today, which is not Disney Plus nor Marvel, but I've been playing catch up all over, and I'm ready for all these movies to go digital. I know that goes against the whole box office Hollywood thing, but I'm ready to catch up on this stuff, and have not wanted to go to the theater yet. So I'm ready to be able to watch this stuff digitally.
Well, you and I are on the same boat. Uh, Speaking of theaters, did you get to sneak away and watch Mr. Bond this weekend, Miss Jan, or is that on the docket for coming out?
Well, I've got a very, very close friend that's kind of our thing. And she was pretty heartbroken when she knew it was going to be gone this weekend. And I told her, I'm not watching this film without you. So hopefully I'll get to watch it this weekend with her.
Nice. Yeah, I heard that broke box office.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
It also broke my ability to speech.
Ah,
Yeah, I heard it broke box office. Oh my god! Let me see if I can try this a third time. I heard it broke box office records.
say that 10 times fast.
Okay, I'm glad I was able to say it once in 3 attempts.
Oh my God.
Mark, our statistic guy, do we have any stats for this box office for this weekend?
Yeah, and I was trying to figure out which box office records that it might have broken. I guess for a non-comic book slash non-Fast and the Furious movie, maybe, but it won the box office with 56 million, which, depending on who you ask, is either really good or a complete and utter disappointment, right? Because like they had a lot riding on this. This was the one movie I just remember over and over, and this was at Miss Jen's expense of it just being pushed back and pushed back and pushed back. Like I think probably the most major movie with the most dates that had to end up being, canceled and moved. So they obviously were hoping for a really big score, and I think it threw everyone off last week that Venom made 90.2 million. I think that really came as a shock. So they were probably honestly hoping for a lot more for Daniel Craig's last go at James Bond, but it made 56 million, and then probably more impressively than that was the fact that Venom: Let There Be Carnage came in with another 32 million.
Yep.
So, and then rounding out the top three was Adam's Family with 10 million, and that was actually Adam's Family 2. And I don't remember when the first animated one came out. I guess it was probably 2 or 3 years ago. And then somewhere in there was I think Shang-Chi was fourth, which is the lowest, but it also crossed I think the 220 million domestic barrier, and then they're calling Sopranos a failure, but it's on HBO Max. So I don't like this fact that like they keep. I mean I get box office numbers and I get that's important, but it's like if it's on both, of course the box office is going to be significantly less, especially when you're already paying for a service like HBO Max. Like you shouldn't fault the movie or fault the fans or fault the industry if people are staying home and watching it in the safety of their homes went for free or for free in quotes if they're already paying for the service anyway.
Right.
But no, but back to the movie. I think 56 million is a great turnout for a film like this, and also it's at 88%, which I think is probably, if I recall, I think that's like the third highest rated Daniel Craig Bond movie. Um, and I think Rotten Tomatoes has Skyfall totally wrong, being only a 92. I think Skyfall uh, is at least a 99, and I can say that with confidence because that's the only Bond movie I've never fallen asleep in.
Oh wow.
It's my, my favorite by far.
Really, that's good to hear because I always thought I was just never really into a Bond movie until that one. Now, fairness, I've seen like half of all the different actors' movies. So I've seen like half the Brosnan movies, half the Craig movies, half the Connery movies. So I haven't even seen Casino Royale, which is his top, right, as far as ratings and wise, but and just but I Skyfall to me is just way different. It's kind of like so on one of my podcasts now, it's a Birds of Prey podcast, but we've gone through volume one. We're about to go to volume two. So in between, just for fun, we're doing the Batman Hush storyline because that has Huntress and Oracle in it. And I'm reading that going, oh, wait a minute. This is why people like Batman because I've never read anything I like the character Batman in, and I feel like Skyfall was the Hush for James Bond. Like that, it's kind of like, oh wait, oh now okay, now I get it. But then I tried to watch. What was the one after Skyfall, Miss Jen?
That is Spectre.
That one did not like live up to my new expectations for Bond. But then if I look at Rotten Tomatoes, apparently it just wasn't overall very well received. So
I wonder why. Because it does bring us back Blofeld.
I don't know, and it's and as far as like this current one goes, I mean, people have been waiting for it so long. I would have expected a lower Rotten Tomato score just because people were miffed that they had to wait so long. But the fact that it's an 88 to start, I think is good. And I know you'll enjoy it as a Bond fan. So, are you ready for a new Bond?
Uh,
Like, is it time for Daniel Craig to move on?
I think he's ready. I don't ever want to make someone stay longer than they're comfortable with doing it or feel inspired to do a part. I'm not chomping at the bit for another one because I really like Daniel, but I'm I'm pretty open to anybody as long as they take it seriously. If that makes sense.
I'm voting for Carrot Head.
What?
I think he'll make a great James Bond.
Okay.
So
Okay. Now,
yeah, here's the thing. If like a lot of the people want uh Henry Cavill, right? Now, if it were to be Henry Cavill, would they have him sign a no mustache clause?
Ooh, ouch.
Because I don't see them like using the digital budget on a Bond movie to just digitally remove that thing all the time.
That would be funny.
I'm not sure if I would see him as a good Bond. I can't picture him as Bond.
Okay, what about Steve Carell? Wouldn't that be hilarious if they got an American actor to play Bond? There'd be such an uproar.
Um,
I would like it on.
he played.
Agent Smart, right? I was mostly just taking a shot at it because it would kind of be like, I think if they were to ever cast an American Bond or an American Doctor Who, that we would just be completely unforgiven as Hollywood and as Americans and everything.
Doctor Who might be the only character that can get away with actually casting an American, even for one season. Yeah, I mean the
Well,
characters.
we wouldn't care, but I'm sure you would have a lot of Whovians that would care.
True. Yeah, true. Won't argue with you there.
That's because we don't have phone booths over here for like the last 30 years.
So who's your vote for Bond, Mark?
I think Henry Cavill would be good, but I would almost I think that I would probably go for an unknown. I'd give someone else a chance, someone new a chance to sign like a 3-movie deal. What I would like to see, this could probably, bring someone like me into it who would be there going in for like the story. I would like to see a 3-movie arc. And I guess that I don't know if that would go against what Bond stands for, like one mission at a time or whatever. But it'd be interesting to see a 3-movie arc, like a 9-hour Bond story, but you just split over 3 movies.
No.
No, you can't do it. Okay.
Essentially, what you've got with Daniel Craig stuff, all of those movies are seamlessly put together. Like where one ends, the next one starts. If you watch them all end to end, it'll make your brain explode.
But it doesn't seem that it was planned that way, though. Was it planned that? I mean, was it planned that way? But was it planned that way 15 years ago? It was? Okay. I don't know.
I thought he was only going to do 1 or 2 movies. They were supposed to be prequels, so the fact that it's
every single time from I think the second one on, when they asked him if he was going to do another one, he would always say "F no." I try to translate that to mean, yeah, definitely.
Right. Yeah, this time it looks like that's it. He's done. So that's he had a good run too. Can't argue that.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
I mean, I guess there's not. What are the other franchises like that out there? I mean, there's no competition for Bond, which sort of, basically every few years you'll get like a spy movie, but they don't ever keep going.
Well, Bond's just established that way. I mean, it's been around since what 50s, 60s. It's they can, and they've again. This is the same as Doctor Who. They've kept it going with good storytelling and good actors leading the way. So it's like you said. There's no other franchise that can do that. There hasn't been anything established that can do that. Maybe they can do that with the Matrix. Keep going with trilogies, coming out with new characters and whatnot. I guess you can say that with Star Wars as well.
Mm-hmm.
But,
Jason Bourne's probably as close as we can get.
But when was the last Jason Bourne we had? It was 10 years ago, 12 years ago, give or take.
It's been too long. I miss those. Those were really good. Because that was where the kind of that gritty fighting style that they started with Daniel and the first one for Casino Royale. It's where I felt like it came from.
Oh, let's not forget Mission Impossible.
Yeah.
That is a franchise they've kept going for quite long. So that might compete, but yeah, It's not a Bond movie though. You're right.
I say keep making Johnny English for like 20 more movies
Johnny
with
English.
Rowan Atkinson,
Yes.
or just make Rowan Atkinson James Bond. That's fine. I'm fine with that too.
Right.
What would y'all think about um someone coming on to do, and they might have already done this, I don't know, and it could involve spoilers for the new one, who knows, but like, what if they just brought in an older actor to do just one Bond movie, like kind of like a Bond, a Bond version of like Old Man Logan? What about that? Do you think they would ever do that, or would it have to be someone who it was like their fifth or sixth movie? They would
So you
just
mean
pick an older actor.
go back to an original actor and bring him back?
Well, that would be cool. I mean that would probably be the best idea of it, but I just would like to see Bond sort of reimagined a little bit, or maybe like take more of a risk where maybe it's not going to turn out okay this time.
I know for a long time they were poking around at Idris Elba for the part, but I don't know if they ever if you've heard any more about that being kind of the rumor.
I think that went on so long. He was like said like, "Hey, I'm just I don't know if that's for me or whatever." So if he was interested, I would anoint him as Bond immediately. But that rumor got kicked around so long. I think if it were to happen, it would have happened by now. Do they have like a Bond naming day? Is that like a holiday over there? Like, are they gonna what? Like when they name Bond, are they gonna have it make it like a 3-day event, or do they just sort of like casually announce it on like page 5 of the Daily Mail or something?
Who knows? I hope they make a big deal because those guys usually get knighted.
Well, I mean, they should whatever big convention is up at that time, whenever that happens. Like, I doubt they would wait till next year just to announce it at San Diego Comic Con, but it'd be nice to see the Bond fandom get, you know, their share of a convention, as far as it'd be like an event. Like, it should be an event
Yeah,
because
I think they should.
that's a big role.
I don't think they should announce who the next Bond is. Just throw out a trailer randomly.
Yeah.
And just it's like, here's your new Bond. Nobody
The
knows who
idea,
it is.
yeah, the idea being, if you know who 007 is, he's doing a really bad job as a spy, right?
Right?
So maybe they should just have the new movie with like Bond, and then it's almost like a Where's Waldo? Like, you have to find out who James Bond is. Like, you have to find 007 within that 2 hours, and the movie ends, and then like everyone has all these different theories about who's Bond and why, almost like Memento or something.
That's hilarious. Who would be the most ridiculous choice for if they were going to really not? I'm going to use ridiculous. That's not a good word.
I'm pretty sure Carrot
What would
Top,
be the
which was
most-
already
Yeah,
said,
I
right?
was about to say Carrot Top would be.
What would be the most different? I don't want to say like where could they go that would be so different?
So you mean something that will work, but we wouldn't expect it?
Yes.
Well, okay. Look, I know this is not possible. Yeah, that's too far fetched because it'll never happen. But maybe a female Bond, but it won't happen. So
No, I think they've said. I think that the state said that it's just not. I mean, they're open to a lot of stuff, but James Bond is male.
Yeah. And they could do a 006 or 005 or whatever as a female.
Yeah, like, how come they haven't done that? Like a 008? Miss Jenna, here's one. So, with staying within like the universe and their archetype or whatever. How about this? What about multiple Bonds? What about Daniel Craig, Pierce Brosnan, and a new Bond, and there's 3 Bonds at once?
Yeah,
I mean,
Digital.
you were saying something you're not expecting. That would be something I'm not expecting. Just sort of like Doctor Who, the Three Doctors, something like that. You know, and understanding that like, well, Bond's really a moniker. So I never know about Bond. Like, am I supposed to think that Sean Connery is Pierce Brosnan? And Pierce Brosnan is Daniel Craig, or is it a moniker? Because if it's just a moniker, you could do that. But if I'm supposed to think that it's been the same Bond for 40 something movies, then I mean that can't happen, right? So which one is it? Am I supposed to think it's the same Bond, or is it a different? Has it been different people?
I think we're just supposed to think to ourselves, oh, we don't notice that it's a different person.
Okay, so I guess really going outside the box then, um, alternate timelines. Let's just
Ooh.
open it up. Let's just open it up.
You're way too deep into the Marvel universe now, my friend.
She asked for something that we weren't expecting. So I mean, if
I think she was
you
still
know,
looking for something realistic. But honestly,
well, I think it would be very realistic to have a female Bond. But I guess if the state said no, I mean that's kind of one weird, but two okay.
but they could do a 008 as a female Bond. Yeah, I
Yeah,
don't see that not working out. So
That's
I can understand.
like where you see not just like because they've had it before where they've had one other 00, right? That's as far as they've really gone. The one guy that betrayed them or whatever. I don't understand why we never see all of them together. Like, could there be something so epic that it would have to bring them together?
see, I thought that's what this one. I mean, again, no spoilers. I haven't seen it, but I kind of thought that's what this one was gonna be because those rumors were floating around out there. Okay, here's one more outside the box idea for Bond fans. Okay, what about from the perspective of Moneypenny? What about a movie from a different someone who's not Bond but's always in the Bond universe?
Now, Dynamite Comics has got a really good set of books that are from Felix's point of view, and they're amazing.
Yeah, something like that, and that's without going too crazy and having James Bond find the Infinity Gauntlet and open up all the universes. Then I mean it would be a fresh take, I think. But how come there's never been a Bond spinoff?
Yeah, right. Like, wouldn't it be fun to have like a show that's just Q?
Or M.
Yeah.
It would be. I think they might have done it. Maybe I'm wrong, but they might have done an animated series or maybe a comic book where Q works for other characters. I'll have to look into that. But something tells me there was a series, some kind of a series where Q does have. Maybe it's just my imagination. I'll look into that.
I just think back to my childhood, and I can remember being very young, being in the movie theater and watching those opening sequences and thinking, looking over at my parents and being like, going, am I going to be in trouble right now? It's a different era of movies, I think.
And well, it's also we don't really have anything like that. From an American standpoint of I can't think of one anyway. Like just even the theme song being a big deal each and every time. And you're almost like annoyed in a certain way too if you're the artist that is picked to sing the Bond, theme song because it's an original for each movie, usually based on the title, right? And I don't think we have anything like that. Like I don't. There's not a Fast and Furious ballad because if there was, that would be the thing.
I mean, we do have iconic theme songs. Not that something that changes every time, but again, Star Wars. That the first few
Right.
notes, you know exactly it's Star Wars.
Right. But that's the thing is like you know what it is. Like, you know, Bond's different every time, and it's like it's always just this elite musical artist uh doing that. So
I just think it's hilarious that one of the best ones was written in no time at all. I think people were so mad at Sam for saying that because he won an award for the song.
which one was that?
For gosh, what is the name of the song? It was the
Well,
one
who
for
is? Oh, go ahead.
Brainy's on it.
On
Who
what?
who is the artist? Who is Sam though?
Why can't I think of his full name? I can't look it up on my thing. Okay.
Do you want me to look it up? I'm actually doing something else, but I can look it up if you want.
Oh, Sam Smith, Writings on the Wall from
Yes.
Spectre.
Thank you. That's it. Yep.
So back to so what was your thoughts on Spectre? Because that is like I think one of the lower rated Bond films.
I mean, I'm not gonna like it ever any more than I like Skyfall, but
Right.
sure, I like the going back and giving Bond an even more painful childhood, if it's possible, where they go back and really show you they do take damaged people to become agents. They're like
Yeah.
they pulled him out of his having no parents and realized he was raised by his arch enemy.
And I think that storyline is used in a lot of franchises and movies, right? Going back to, and not necessarily like that he's damaged from it, but Harry Potter's situation, and then even something like in the theme of Bond, but on a much more, am I going to be in trouble for watching this scale? And the Kingsman. The Kingsman is a movie where it's like you were looking around the theater going, "Am I going to be in trouble for watching this?" Like even if you're 40, because I don't know if either of you have seen both the Kingsman and Kingsman Golden Circle, but yikes, they push stuff to the max on that on that franchise. I mean, based on who wrote the comic, it's like no surprise, right? But it's like it is wild. I can't wait for that prequel that's probably been pushed back like second most from
Yeah.
movies I keep hearing about. Just like The King's Man or whatever. Like I have no idea what the status on that is, but that has been supposed to have come out for a long time.
Because Black Widow had it for a long time.
Black Widow had what?
But, it had been pushed off for so long.
Yeah.
Then Bond became the champion of we're gonna make it.
Yeah. And I wonder under normal circumstances what box office they would have been happy with because again, I think 56 is really good. But then as movie executives are probably still scratching their head that Venom got like 90 something. I mean that to me that's still because um the first one even among comic book fans, it was kind of divisive, not in a controversial way, just in the like, oh, okay, that movie happened. So I didn't really think anyone was super excited for part two, even though fans have been wanting Carnage forever.
Well,
I'll go ahead.
I like it because they stuck the landing. So
Yeah,
there's some brutal language and violence in it. However funny it is, the interaction between Eddie and Venom, which I love the slapstick of all that, where it's just like it's the destruction zone anywhere they go. But the whole movies when you say, you know what, you should, do this specific thing so that you can keep characters around for whatever. And the people that wrote it say, F that. I'm going to do what I want.
Yeah, and the other thing that no one ever considers is Venom can be in an R-rated movie, but I don't know if Spider-Man can be in an R-rated movie. Right? So if you're gonna do this, if you're gonna do the Carnage storyline and have him in an R-rated movie, knock it out now. Just knock it out now, because I don't. That's what people don't. They want to see. They want their cake and they want to eat it too, just like everything else in life. But it's like, you want Deadpool and you want Spider-Man. Disney's not going to put Tom Holland in a rated R movie. I'm sorry, they're just not going to do it. It's not. So I think that for this extreme stuff, just be happy, that it's rated R.
They could do a Spider-Man story rated R where they actually kill off Peter Parker and bring in Miles Morales as the primary Spider-Man. They can take that really bloody. They can, if you read the book, you see how he gets beat up, and they can that would really get a rated R movie, and that fans might watch. I don't see it happening, but that's a very good possibility if they want to take that the Spider-Man franchise into that realm and have basically Venom show up as well. In fact, they could have Venom beat up Spider-Man to a pulp. And
well, we'll see. We'll end up seeing by the time Christmas gets here what the box office is like and what Spider-Man No Way Home does. But I just don't think they're going to use characters that could get 200 million in one weekend on a rated R movie. I just even the success that Deadpool started a few years back by going, oh wait, rated R movies can make this much money. That parameter is set more like at 100 million. There hasn't been a rated R movie that's gotten like 200, 240, 250. So I mean, you cut out half the audience when you do that.
I think we're also living in a time where rated R isn't what rated R used to be.
Right.
To be honest, where kids can watch much worse than that on YouTube, and YouTube's supposed to be very conservative as well. But and I don't think a lot of parents nowadays are being as protective as they used to be about kids watching the movies they're watching. We've seen it where kids have gone, or kids have come into our stores where they just watch Deadpool. For us, it's a shock. To the parents, like, oh, it's just Deadpool. And I'm not sure if the R rating is really what it used to be. So to see, I agree with that Disney won't do it, but to see Sony possibly do it, I think there is a market there for them. They could take Spider-Man to that. I don't know what. I think they only have Spider-Man related, right? Mm-hmm. Or if they do Silver Sable, they can do Silver Sable as a rated R movie as well.
And that's another movie that we've been hearing about forever, Black Cat and Silver Sable, and I haven't heard any updates on that. Because Sony right now is limited to, we get to play with stuff out of the Marvel sandbox in Spider-Man movies, but that's it. And then everything else, we just have to, make within the Spider-Man universe of characters that we have. So while I would love to see a Black Cat movie, I don't know if that works to the max potential without Spider-Man. The same thing with Venom. Like, I'll be interested to see with Venom 3 what happens. Like, are they going to still keep doing this within their own universe, or are you going to open it up? I don't know. I just think I'd rather see like Venom on the Thunderbolts or something like that than another Venom movie where it's just like, well, I just gotta kick it around with these other symbiote characters because I'm not allowed to play with anyone else.
And I agree with you. How far will fans last? How long will those fans last? There's still that in the back of most fans' minds. There's still that anticipation that Spider-Man will show up in a Venom movie. There really is no Venom without Spider-Man. And are they willing to go 3 movies or 4 movies without them actually, duking it out? Um, so yeah, that's a very good question. I don't. Me personally, I do want to see Spider-Man versus Venom. I'm sure a lot of other people do as well, and I'm not sure if I'm wanting to wait another 2 or 3 movies on top of the 1 and 2 that are already out. So we'll see. We'll see.
I will just tell you both that you should stay for the after credits.
Yeah, I'll get to watch that movie eventually.
Someone else had mentioned that to me, and I just said, like, as immediately and nonchalantly as I could, like, is Tom Holland in there? And then they just go. So I'm imagining that he's not. I will be pleasantly surprised and completely shocked if he's in there. That's what I want. That's the end credit I want. It could be like the craziest, most wildest end credits of all time, but if he's not physically in there, like, I don't know. We'll see.
Well, I mean,
But
he could be in there just walking by. You never know.
I just don't. Well, talking about, I don't see a world where Spider-Man, as Tom Holland Spider-Man specifically, gets to be in a Venom movie for at least like 60 minutes. But I could be wrong, but I just think that they're going to have to open up their, I guess, policy of what characters can be in Sony movies to keep feeding Sony. Like, Sony's going to have to be like, hey, we've stuck to the plan so far. We really appreciate, being able to use Happy Hogan, but can we have someone else to play with now? Like, we need, like, and they got Robert Downey Jr., right? Like, it was awesome. Like, it's been great. The Spider-Man movies have been fantastic. But outside of that, what are they being given? I think another thing that we've been sort of denied and been, it was pumped up and then we never heard about it, but we know it's done, is Morbius. I think Morbius is going to tell us a lot about, can you self-sustain, take the Spider-Man characters that you have, on your roster and make a meaningful movie with them. But then at some point, you can't just have, okay, here comes Morbius 2 and now Venom 3 and now Morbius 3 and now Venom 4. Like, you gotta, I don't know, that they, like, I guess what I'm saying is this: do people want to see a Madam Web movie? Because that's been thrown out there a lot. So
If it's a well written Madam Web movie, maybe. Um, there's still there's still a few very good Spider-Man arcs that don't revolve around Spider-Man that could work as well. Uh, yeah, maybe they do a Flash Thompson movie. No.
well, another big question is, who has Spider-Woman? Like, where is Jessica Drew? Like, where?
Well, she was an Avenger, if I remember correctly, prior to being a Spider-Man character. But what's interesting is why Kingpin's not in there, why Punisher's not in that same universe. They were introduced in Spider-Man. Why is Morbius there and not those 2 characters? Um, so we don't know the details of the contract that Sony and Marvel signed back then. So
Right.
Did you guys see the new featurette that Marvel released for the Eternals? It makes it seem much more important the way that it was presented instead of the trailer.
It's going to be important. I think it's going to be important. I don't think they would do this. At first, I was thinking, oh, the Eternals are going to be the next Guardians of the Galaxy, but it might actually be bigger than that, because Guardians of the Galaxy are going to end up being more of a comic relief. Eternals. I don't know exactly what comic story arcs they're going with, because I'm just not familiar with the Eternals, which is why I'm probably really excited about it, right? Because then your possibilities are like open as a fan, like, okay, show me what you got as far as this goes. Um, but they're definitely going to be playing with, the whole thing of, hey, you're allowed to be here, but you can't interfere, and like, okay, we won't interfere, and then they interfere. So we'll see what happens. I have high hopes for that though, for the Eternals as a film, and then also just moving the ball forward as far as what type of stories they can tell. I think.
Yeah.
On the other hand, it could be the biggest flop they have. And if they're writing everything on Eternals, it could backfire. Not saying it would, and I'm hoping it won't, because I am looking forward to it. So we'll see. But there's that possibility as well. Like you mentioned, not even us. I don't know how much Miss Jen knows about it. I don't know very much about the Eternals. I still haven't read that much, so we don't know what to expect. We don't know where it's going to go, and that might be a downfall of it as well. Where we know who Spider-Man is, we know who Iron Man is, we know who Hulk is, and everything. We don't know anything about this, and it could be a huge bomb. But at the same time, a lot of people didn't know who Shang-Chi was either prior to the movie coming out, and look at how that turned out.
Right.
So there are several possibilities. I just don't want to. I don't want to have my hopes up so high that when it comes out, I'm let down to the point where oh well, there goes the Marvel universe. Let's move on. Let's see what DC's doing.
No, how bad would it have to be for you to do that? Like it'd have to be really bad.
There's history.
I mean, it would have to be real bad. Now, I can finally say for once that I am intrigued in what DC's doing, because I really am interested in the tone of the Black Adam movie, and the fact that Rock is the lead in that, but also just it's going to be anti-hero, and then you're going to get some classic uh, characters like Doctor Fate and Hawkman, and then the Batgirl movie is anyone's guess what the heck that's going to be about, or what tone they're going with, what arc. It seems like they might be going like New 52 Batgirl, but there's no way to tell. And then Aquaman was more engaging than I thought it was going to be. So it'll be interesting to see what direction that goes. And then Shazam was like fun, whereas like Batman versus Superman just felt like torture. But Shazam was like just fun to sit through. So I am actually interested, and as a nerd, I don't think like I've ever once thought like, oh, I have to pick DC or Marvel, but it's always naturally been Marvel. I mean, for me, but I watch so much stuff that I'm open to both universes. It's just like DC is just now getting to that point where I'm kind of like paying attention. Hey, what's going on over there? I do kind of. I'm intrigued. Like those movies I just mentioned. Like I could care less for another Justice League movie, or even Superman movie at this point. But I want to see what they're doing with these other characters.
Hopefully, getting rid of those plastic costumes there.
Did they not learn that? Did they not learn that from Batman and Robin, and from all the countless memes we've seen about like George Clooney's plastic outfit and stuff? Like, what is going on? Why do some of the Justice League members look like they're wearing costumes from Party City?
Right?
Like that should not be a thing. I mean, did they do that specifically so they could have like higher Halloween sales at Party City to counter the low box office turnout when people go on Rotten Tomatoes to see what a disappointment the films are? Like
Yeah.
I don't get it.
I don't think their licensing is paying them that much money to.
No, but it's yeah, it's odd. I think we're also spoiled as fans in this day and age. Even though cons have taken a hit with the pandemic, I think we're very spoiled. The quality of cosplay that's out there, and stuff people can do in their garages or in their spare bedrooms is like incredible. So I should be blown away by costumes from a movie with a $200 million budget, and you're just not always. It's not.
We see them with plastic emblems on top of a T-shirt, and it's like, what's going on here? It's understandable when you're introducing a character. Hey, this is how I made my original costume. But by the end of the film, they better have a really nice costume, and they just don't. When I saw the Black Adam originally, I was like, they took the Shazam costume and just recolored it and changed the little emblem, and you still see that plastic sign right there. It's they'll learn, I guess. I don't know.
Or maybe they won't. They probably won't.
But I do agree with you, Mark. I am intrigued by, but more again, and this has been me from a very long time. DC knows what they're doing on the silver screen. They are now learning how to make better movies on. I shouldn't say that, but yeah, that kind of sounds condescending. But how to make better movies, and they have a lot of catching up to do. Unfortunately, Disney and Marvel have done a great job of doing superhero movies, where DC's just it pales far, far, far behind, unfortunately. But what I really, really want to see is Marvel doing cross-gen movies, Miss Jen.
What?
I want to see them make cross-gen movies. The cross-gen universe, Mystic, and those. I think that's a great universe they can bring in, or even animated series. They can bring that in, and it'll be great.
Well, Brainy, I think they have a great opportunity with Disney Plus to make live-action movies that they would have never thought about in a trillion years about releasing in a box office, but just make a series of live-action movies, if not, live-action specials, or maybe 6-episode, miniseries. If you could differentiate those from like the Marvel on Disney Plus brand that they already have going with the bigger characters. I mean, I think the possibilities are endless. I think animated may be the way to go with some of that stuff, because I just think people are more likely to watch an animation that they're unfamiliar with rather than live action, because you don't want it to look like it was like made for TV, like this is a Lifetime, Marvel movie, but on Disney Plus or whatever. But I think, I think anything you can imagine them making now, I think is possible.
And they have a lot of properties.
A lot.
Same thing with Warner Brothers. They have a lot of properties they can work with, and I think Warner Brothers DC does dabble into a lot more than Marvel does. But I think the success of Eternals will also point or guide them into delving into properties they're not even considering right now. Shang-Chi was also another property where 10, 15 years ago, they probably wouldn't have touched that. They would have been like, yeah, this is a character nobody knows. We don't want to go into it. But it proved to have done well. Same thing with all the silver screen, Netflix things they did, They proved Jessica Jones and Luke Cage, and those are second in the Marvel, universe. They're second-rate characters, wherein they did a really great job on there. I hate to put Daredevil in that same. Well, Daredevil's still tier 1 character, tier 1.5, comparative to the Avengers and everything. So they were able to pull that out. So we'll see. DC's done a great job on their silver screen. They've brought in characters that we would have never thought about. Everybody in the Flash universe is there. Arrow, they did a great job with Arrow. I was going to say Gotham, but I stopped watching Gotham after season 1, so that kind of.
I stopped watching it after episode 1. I think there was something with a guy was killing people with weather balloons, and I was done.
I think Gotham had potential. The fact that they didn't bring in Batman until, I don't know if they ever brought him in, because I stopped following it. I think that hurt the show. That show would have done a lot better if they had Batman in there, or even Robin. If they brought Robin in, they needed.
Well, I mean, Bruce Wayne was in there, right? He's just a little kid.
Correct.
Right.
Or they could have made the background story of Bruce Wayne becoming Batman as well, which they didn't delve too much into, or they waited too long. I don't know if they did eventually do that or not. But for me, it didn't happen soon enough for me to continue watching Gotham. I was disappointed that Birds of Prey went away. So but then again, I didn't get to watch it that often either. So one thing I will say about DC Silver Screen is my daughter was interested in, she was always, because it tied her really well with Supergirl, she got into everything else as well. And she's not really into the comic book world as we are.
Yeah. And TV is still a lot more accessible, and especially like basic cable networks like CW, it's still more accessible than films, or especially like pay service, streaming service, stuff like that. So I can definitely see someone getting into it from Supergirl or Arrow or especially Flash. And I know that like there's some comic fans that they get annoyed because they're like, oh, this is this has a lot of teen angst in it or whatever. It's like, okay, well, they watch TV too, so there's so much to choose from nowadays. It's just you can't, if your favorite character is being made accessible to other people and you don't like all the creative decisions, there's plenty else just to go watch. I mean, you kind of have to think of it that way. Like, just don't get offended. It's kind of like I keep making that joke about, if Lost Boys gets remade, your childhood is not erased. Like, you can still play it on VHS, Laserdisc, DVD. Like, your characters still exist. If they make like a bad Spider-Man movie, Spider-Man still exists. If they make a Superman TV show and you don't like the actor, you can watch whatever iteration of Superman there is, and there are many, many, many iterations. Now, if you were like the world's largest Y the Last Man fan and you don't like the casting of Yorick Brown, I get it. But then at that point, you just got to be glad that it ever got made once. Period. And we've said this before, but we have to just be really happy that comic book movies and their translation to comic books translation to movies survived that leaking of like the 1994 Fantastic Four VHS tape. Like that's a miracle that happened, and we just need to take that as a sign to where nothing's ever going to be that bad again, and we have to take it as a sign to just like, if you don't like something, don't go on the internet and ruin it for everyone. Just move on to the next thing. Just,
You brought up Why the Last Man. I saw the first 3 episodes of it. First 2 or 3 episodes, and loved it. I was looking forward to the next episode. I completely forgot Why the Last Man was a TV show because I don't watch Hulu enough.
Yeah.
I think that might be the downfall of that show because we're not on that platform as often, and it might get bogged down and we might forget about it. It's unfortunate.
The best show I've seen in the last year is on Hulu, and no one's watching it, and that's Reservation Dogs. It's incredible. It's an amazing comedy co-produced by Taika Waititi. Absolutely incredible.
Yeah, and this is something that Hulu or Disney Plus, which is very surprising that Disney not is doing this. They're offering Disney Plus at $5 a month or $6 or something like that, at the same rate as what they're offering Hulu, ad free. And wherein Hulu's, I think it's a little left behind where, of course you can pay the higher rate and you get it ad free, but at a certain point, when you've introduced people to paying only $5 for a streaming service, nobody wants to pay $10 for a streaming service they can get for $5. And adding advertisement in there, I think it's left Hulu in the dust a little bit, in my opinion at least. And it's unfortunate because they do have good shows, like you said, Reservoir Dog. I'm not watching it because one, I don't go on Hulu anymore, even though I have it. And same thing with Why the Last Man. I would love to continue. I'm still going to continue because I think it's a great show. It's a great book. For the audience out there, if you haven't read the book, read the book and watch the show. It's really good. I still can't wait till they make Saga into a TV show.
Oh my gosh! Don't even toy with my emotions. You kidding
That
me?
they may have to go animated with that, and
I think you go animated with it. I really do. I just really think you go animated series with it.
yeah, they I don't think they can do unless they go cheesy, 1960s Doctor Who style and ruin the entire franchise. Yeah, they've got to go animated with it. There's too much involved and too many different worlds that they do need to do it in a fashion where I don't think live action can do it, unless they do movies. But that's not going to do it justice.
Because what happens if they try to go like live action and Lion Cat ends up looking like the Cats musical from last year?
Just say no.
Yeah, see? Miss Jen, what do you think? Animated or live action for Saga?
I don't think you can do it well. Live action?
I think you would have to find the perfect director and make it in one of these like throwback 80s style, almost like Turbo Kid or something in that vein, where you have like that post-punk pop, like 80s vibe and maybe like 80s type soundtrack. I mean, you would have to go very like niche with it. You can't just go, hey, we're gonna do Firefly, but this guy's got horns and this lady has wings. Okay, go. Like you couldn't really do that, right? Like you're at such a risk. There's so many wild characters, and as much as I would love to see what a Prince Robot the Fourth live action looks like, I don't know. I mean, it would be awesome, but at the same time, I would just go animated. Animated would be safe.
So can we toss a conspiracy out there?
Yeah.
The reason the last 3 years there was no Saga is because they were working on a script.
Okay. I'd be happy with that. I'd be fine with that.
Me too.
I just think after seeing the success of the Invincible cartoon on Amazon Prime, I just think you go 30-minute animated.
Yep.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe and maybe that and it's creator owned, so I know that they have a deal with Kirkman that they may not necessarily have with Image, but I would almost just pitch it as that, like, Image, your thing could be animated. Like you might, like if you develop like other Image properties, just throw them out there and like just do animated series geared towards more mature comic reading audience. I think that could be it.
Image has said that they're no way at all involved with creator-owned properties.
Right.
So there won't be anything universal as far as Image is concerned. Because they just say, hey, you know what, the movie deals and everything, that's between the creators and the movie studios. So there won't be anything universal, but I do like your point. You're like, hey, Kirkman's proved, hey, animation works. Why don't we just everybody else stick with the same thing? In that same tone, I think Jupiter's Legacy would have done a little bit better if it was animated.
I don't know. I love the live action. I was really stunned when they said they were going to do another.
I couldn't. I didn't enjoy the comic book itself personally, so I couldn't stick with the show either. So I was hoping the TV show would pull me in a little bit further, but I couldn't even get into episode 1. It's unfortunate.
My phone is just about ready to die.
Oh, so you want to go comics? Throw out some comics quick.
I don't think it's going to be far.
Yeah, and I've honestly have not looked at what's coming out this week either. So there's good stuff. There's always good stuff, no matter what. Every week, there's always good stuff coming out. So.
Well, I'll throw out a few. We got Amazing Spider-Man 76. We have the last and final, if I'm not mistaken, Immortal Hulk number 50. We have Kang Scooby-Doo next to Bat-Hound, and I must purchase this book. That's all I can tell you. We got Pennyworth number 3, Darkhold Iron Man number 1, Eternals, speaking of them, Eternals Forever number 1, Hardware season 1 number 2 from Milestone. From Dark Horse we have Unbelievable Unteens number 3, say that 19 times fast. We have Black Panther Legends number 1 and Miss Marvel Tales number 1. So kind of just throwing out a lot of various stuff. Don't see a whole lot of number 1s. Have we kind of chilled out on having 19 number 1s each week, or?
There are some independent number 1s. I'm not sure if there are very many Marvel ones. Chicken Devil comes out this week as well, right, Miss Jen? Oh, she's gone? We lost her.
We went. I rambled on too much. Oh well. So we do. Speaking of James Bond, Brandy, we do have James Bond Himeros number 1.
Yes.
We were talking about, with comics, you're allowed to do stuff you can't do in film, and as far as like, you don't have to worry about the main demographic or it costing you box office bucks to tell a story that maybe wouldn't fly past executives. So I'd probably be like better served just to read James Bond comics and stuff. I think they might be like thinking outside the box more.
Yep, I agree with you. And they get to explore a lot more as well. Where in a movie they're limited to their 2.5, 3 hours or whatever they want to run the movie. Comic books, they can go 6, 8, 10 issues and tell a story and dive deeper into the story than they could have in a movie. So yeah, I agree with you. I think you should consider that.
And actually, after I said that, I see further down the list we have from Dark Horse, No One Left to Fight to number 1, and then from Zenescope, Rise of the Djinn number 1, and from Scout, Ninja Scouts number 1.
Yes.
So yeah, there's I don't what I'm gonna ask you like a really crazy question, and you can just throw out a number or just say I don't know. What do you think the most, as a fan of comics? I know you're a retailer, but like, what do you think personally the most single issues that you've bought in 1 week on a Wednesday has ever been?
Oh boy. Okay. See, that's complicated because every week I'm walking home anywhere from half a short box to a full short box.
Whew.
Because this is a bad habit which I've been trying to kick. Like Amazing Spider-Man 76, it's coming out with 10 covers. I'm probably walking. I don't know. I'm just exaggerating, but there probably might be 10 covers. I'm probably walking home with 4 different covers of it.
Yeah.
In fact, the Gleason cover I love, so I actually ended up picking up 2 copies of it. I think it's a beautiful cover. Anytime you put Spider-Man Mary Jane on the cover, you've got me hooked. I'm a huge fan of Spider-Man Mary Jane relationship. So that kind of doubles up that issue. But still, I'm walking home. There have been times where I've gone over a short box, where they've had a short box and a half for me. So that's a bad thing in my personal collection, because that hurts my wallet a lot.
And your personal space. Where do you put all that?
Oh boy. Well, okay, and I kid you not. There is a space in our second store which has become a storage, which has boxes of my comic books in it. My garage is which I was converting into a studio. It's got boxes of comic books.
Mm-hmm.
My attic, which I was supposed to empty out and put into my garage, still got comic books in it. Boxes of comic books. My office, we have where I work. They've got warehouse space, and I've got a little dedicated space in there with boxes of comic books. So I've got a lot of boxes of comic books, and in fact, one of the things I'm doing is I'm trying to catalog everything I can on the CLZ app, and hopefully I can slowly bring that down. I do have way too many comic books. I've been collecting way too long.
Do you? So I've been playing around with Kyle and I guess everyone else's favorite Key Collector comics, and I say that jokingly, but like and CLZ. But I almost feel like there should be like a third app that takes elements of both of those because CLZ I've been trying to catalog my collection, and it just seems like difficult because you can't scan, and like the interface of the app you have to keep like hitting plus plus and like just kind of scroll through it and pinch and zoom, and it's like I wish there was an easier way to do all this.
Well, you can scan. You can scan the barcode. I don't know, you can't scan the entire cover, but you can scan the barcode.
On CLZ you can scan?
Yeah, download their CLZ Berry app.
Okay.
It's an add-on to their regular app, and you just scan and it just sends it to your CLZ account. For me, I actually went the desktop route. I preferred the desktop route, so I bought the CLZ desktop app, and I like it. I can just do a barcode scanner, which you can buy for anywhere from $20 to $100, depending on what kind of quality you want, and just sit there and scanning. The problem I have is I just have way too many, and I'm trying to organize at the same time and trying to do other things at the same time as well. So, Zap is it Zap Pow? They have a really good app as well. In fact, if I hadn't already started on CLZ, I would have gone with them because I like their price guide structure is a little bit better than CLZ uses Go Collect, which they're currently having problems with as well. But Zap Pow, is it Zap Pow or Zap Kapow? I forgot what it's called, but you can look that up. So there are other options other than Key Collector. I think it's developing, but it's still lacking as far as collections concerned. I know you can add your titles, but I think the database for CLZ is much bigger.
And with like you mentioned the pricing on CLZ, and it's weird because it asks you if your comic is raw or slabbed.
Correct.
And then even when you pick raw, it like tries to default you to like an 8.0 slabbed, which as you know is not going to be the same as like an 8.0 raw, and it's a raw comic. So it's weird that it can't just pull previously sold prices from eBay or something.
Because that's not what it's doing. What it's doing is getting pricing from Go Collect. Go Collect monitors graded comics. They don't monitor raw comics.
Right, but I guess what I'm saying is that instead of pulling from Go Collect, they should pull from eBay.
And that's and I think we've discussed this in the previous show. That's almost impossible to do now.
Mm-hmm.
Because of the filters that you have to use. You would actually literally have to have somebody sit down there, look at every, like, let's go back to Invincible. If you do a search on eBay for sold items for Invincible #1, you will get so many different comic books. You'll get Invincible Iron Man #1. You'll get Invincible #1 from 2003. You'll get Invincible #1 that was reprinted the local comic shop day. So it's hard to identify because the sellers on eBay, they'll use all the keywords on every single listing. And if you put Image Comics 2003 Invincible #1 Robert Kirkman, down there your search down so finite that you won't get all the results. So that's a little bit more complicated to do, which is why I think Go Collect is also one of the reasons why they're behind on getting their grades and their pricing up to date, is because they're filtering out that stuff. I don't think CLZ can do that with the hundreds of thousands of books. I know we couldn't do it. We were trying to write a program to try to get pricing off of eBay. There's definitely no way we can do it. There's just not enough commonality in there. I know eBay is trying to get people to start putting standard terms, wherein you put the UPC code in there, but nobody does it in their listing. They want to do the quick list, and that's it. Nobody wants to put in the UPC codes. Nobody wants to put in the series data and all of that. But you do raise a very good point. And I've heard a lot of retailers argue this as well. If I have a raw 9.8, why is that different than what CGC graded 9.8 is? All the difference is a slab and some independent service saying, hey, yeah, this is a 9.8. And they put in a piece of plastic, a big plastic case, and they say, hey, this is a 9.8. The biggest difference is a large plastic case. That's it. which you get for $20 to $30. But the value differs between a raw and a graded comic so vast. It should only be $30 difference. In reality, if you inspect a book and you say, yeah, this is a 9.8 book, I don't care if it's CGC saying it or if it's CBCS saying it or if it's, Joe Blow saying it. It's still going to be a 9.8 book.
The problem with that is there's some Joes out there, and you can clearly see it on eBay. They'll be listing, whatever a hot comic is that week, and it's clearly got like a ding corner, and they go 9.8 question mark CGC it, CGC ready, and then you can totally see like a spine discoloration or whatever. So
I agree with you there, 100%. But that's why you inspect what you buy. And in fact, I got burnt. There was a retailer on eBay that sold that was selling Amazing Spider-Man 121, listed at 8.5. I bought it, and I have a habit of doing this. And in fact, Ms. Jen, if she was on, she would vouch. I got a box from her from 2019 that I just opened like 2 weeks ago. And I did the same thing there. I got it. I'm like, all right, sweet, it's delivered. I didn't even open the box for months because I'm like, it's and that's my fault. I should have opened it and inspected it. That was not an 8.5. And this is a retailer. That's one of the reasons why I didn't open it. I'm like, this is a retailer with good ratings and everything. And he says 8.5 is probably an 8.5. It wasn't. It came. I got it graded and came back at 6.0. So grading is subjective. I agree with it. But if you really want a true raw copy, go down to the store. You go in there, you inspect it yourself, and you say, hey, yeah, this is a 9.8. I'll pay the 9.8 price. At that point, there should be no differential between a 9.8 CGC graded and a 9.8 raw, because if you're at a convention, you're looking at it. It is the same exact book. The only difference is there's a big piece of plastic and a label that says this is a 9.8, and which costs about $30 to put on there.
I like it for verification purposes, but of course you're not going to be worried about a comic from like 2019 being like a forged comic, but you might be worried about a comic from 1951 or something.
Absolutely.
And so then you're just looking for, and especially being a trading card collector, I think it's really more pertinent in that industry to have something verified by PSA or Beckett.
Correct.
But yeah, no, I get what you're saying, and also. People unfortunately are not above swapping out comics and cards into cases. Like they found ways to, I got a 9.8 sticker, but this is really like a 7. I'm just going to slab it, in my garage and seal it back up. And you can even see like some eBay postings that have been called out that have had like Scotch tape, taping it back together. So yeah, either way, what we're saying is just be really careful.
Sure, absolutely.
And also collect what you like too. If you're looking to flip and stuff, I'm not gonna stop people from trying to make money, but if you're in a store and you're buying like something for a collection, does it really matter if you get a 9.8?
Correct.
I mean, if you're gonna keep it,
At the end of the day, comic book is to be read.
Yeah.
It's something you're supposed to enjoy. And I'm partially guilty of this as well. We've gotten into the habit of, I don't want to ruin this just because, this could be worth a lot of money later on.
Mm-hmm.
And there are times when I haven't read them. I'm like, hey, I'll wait till the trade. I still have them. In fact, I'll tell you a very, I bought a collection, I would say about 15, maybe 20 years ago of Wolverine number 1 through, I believe it's 150. I can't remember what it was. It was a long box, almost entirely full. It had the limited series, the 1 through 4. It had everything in there, and these were crisp when I bought them. I mean, these are clean, no stress marks, nothing like that. They have never been taken out of that box. And I finally decided a couple of weeks ago, hey, why don't I just get those graded? At least a limited series, issues number 1 through 3. Let me get those graded. I went there to pull those out, and issue numbers 2, 3, and 4 of the limited series all have stress marks. These are books that have not been taken out of that box, but there was just enough gap in that box that when we were moving the boxes around and stuff, they shifted and they got damaged sitting in the box. never been touched. I mean, even the person who bought them, he was very, very careful. And I remember zero stress marks on that. That's why I was happy to buy that collection for what I bought it for back then. I'm a little disappointed that having it slabbed for that reason is great. Just to have it now, I know exactly what it is. At least it's protected, and I won't have to worry about it. That's one of the reasons why I get my books slabbed. But they are designed to be read. That's what we're supposed to be doing. We're supposed to be reading comic books.
Yeah. I agree. I still don't know what we're supposed to be doing with trading cards, other than just look at them. So I feel like trading cards probably lend themselves better to be slabbed, just because if I'm looking at it anyway, I might as well know that I'm not hurting it. But yeah.
Right.
But I like a well-read collection. Like, there's certain, like, I'm collecting the full run of G.I. Joe, and part of the reason I'm doing that is because a lot of those books, I bought or was given like at the age of, between like 10 and 14. So it brings back memories to see like your own copies of stuff. And obviously those are before the bag and board technology that we had today.
Yep.
And I'm being a little bit facetious because I just found out there's like 3 or 4 different types of modern bags and boards, and I was confused. But anyway, it's like, how many do we really need? But that's just like top loaders and trading cards and 35 point, 68 point, 92 point, 118 point, 152 point, things like that. Also, Mylar bags look a lot prettier, which can be a detriment. They can make a bad comic look really clean.
Mylar bags also have a little bit of a problem because they're stiff, and once you try to take out a book, you could damage it as well.
Yeah, I did not know that.
Yeah, I mean, that can be done with any bags and boards, but because they're so stiff, sometimes. But again, that could be set up any bag and board, I suppose.
I like slabs. They take up a lot of space, but I get nervous with some of my books that they're going to get damaged over time. So that's what I'm going to decide. I'm going to pick like 20 and get them slab. But then I'm also nervous about mailing them there. That's the thing. It's like if you don't live by a
Yeah, especially nowadays, because CGC does not immediately put them into their catalog, so you don't know what they received or whether it's gotten there. It also worries me that you don't know if they got damaged during shipment at all. You won't know that until the book gets graded. And nowadays they're taking 3, 4, 5 months to get graded, and that's also a liability for us as well, because we are a submission center at our store, so people come in to submit their books with us as well, and we're sort of guaranteeing that we've never had a problem so far. We've never had a problem shipping it out. We had a few books come back that were damaged, but CGC replaced the casing for them immediately. But yeah, it's hard to. Right now, I've got at least 4 or 5 shipments of. I'd say at least 300-400 books sitting in CGC that I have no idea when we're going to get back. We've got about 300-400 trading cards at least that are there. At least again, there's probably more than that, but that I can think of.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see where the grading industry goes after everyone kind of gets caught up, because PSA is still not really open to submissions, and CSBC and CGC they have just really long wait times versus what people were used to 2 years ago. So it'll be able to be interesting because, yeah.
There are new companies out there as well that are starting to grade cards. But what I've noticed also already is they're starting to raise their prices as well.
Oh yeah,
and they're I don't see a reason why they should be charging $30-$35 a card to grade. But yeah,
it was supply and demand, and that's what drove up a lot of their prices, because these companies that really weren't on anyone's radar. I mean, PSA and Beckett were closed, so they just like jumped on. Well, do you have anything else comics wise you want to throw out there, or just encouraging people to go explore and go through back issues in person?
Even the new issues, like I said, there's always, every week we have some new books coming out. Unfortunately, I really haven't had the time to look at this week's list yet.
Yeah.
a little bit busy. So, uh, but just go out there, just read. Just read whatever you want. Just go, um, just walk in, pick up a random book, and say, "Hey, I want to buy this," and check it out.
Yeah,
You don't know what you'll
and
discover.
and dig through like the dollar bins. That's where you find some of the best stuff.
Yep, I
Just
agree.
the older stuff that you maybe missed a few years back, or stuff from like the 70s and 80s that cost a few bucks now. Just like the nostalgia of it, the feel of those comics on that paper stock.
Yep.
Uh,
Back in the '80s, DC came out with a book called Thriller. Um, most nobody's ever heard of it. It's a 12-issue miniseries. I got it in one of those bundles. I can't remember how I got issue number one. I got very intrigued. I'm like, oh, this is actually a really good story. I want to know what happens to the rest. I spent years trying to find the rest of the issues for that. I finally found them. I found them. I think I found them on eBay. Somebody had the entire run. I bought it and never finished reading that damn story. But to this day, I remember it. I'm like, man, that book, it just caught me. I was just like, and I don't even remember why I was so caught up in that book. It's just, yeah, I was like, yeah, I got to read the rest of this, and I never did. But to your point, yeah, go jump into those dollar bins. You never know what you'll find. Just pick up a random book and see if you like it or you don't.
Well, thanks, Brainy, for that advice, and thanks to Miss Jen for earlier and telling us about New York Comic Con, and hopefully Kyle and everyone else will be back next week on Nerd News Now. And thank you for watching and listening to Nerd News Now, part of the Kingdom of Geekdom on Woodlands Online, sponsored by The Adventure Begins Comics and Games and Space Cadets Collection. Check out their other shows on Woodlands Online, like Music Cafe, The Adventure Begins Show, Woodlands House and Home, The Best You, Between the Trees, Business Talk, and much more. You can watch these on Woodlands Online and our partner station, KBQT HD21, over the air on your television. All these shows and more on Roku right now. Just search and add Woodlands Online Television to your streaming lineup, and you can listen to the podcast versions of our show on Spotify, iTunes, Stitcher, Google Podcasts, or wherever you get your podcasts from. We'll see you next time on Nerd News Now.